Hi, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is Leslie Cherebesi, or I suppose I could introduce myself also as Abdul Karim Abdullah, because that is my adopted Muslim name, and that is the name under which I am known to my friends and former students and colleagues and associates here in Malaysia. However that may be, as Shakespeare was it who said it, or one of his characters said, what's in a name? And I think you know the rest of that expression. Anyway, I didn't come here to talk about Shakespeare today, although I may on another occasion, because one of my books is exactly on that topic, Shakespeare's Othello to be precise. But today I would like to talk about something else. One of my first books, which are now basically posted on Amazon.com. And these books are also posted, but in an abridged form, on the two academic sites, Academia and ResearchGate. My papers and some of the books are there still in full, others in the abridged format. Basically, the formula that I follow is that once the book is posted on Amazon.com, then I will post only an abridged version on the academic site with a link to the Amazon.com. Amazon now apparently has 85% of the global share of the book market. Now, if you are wondering why Amazon, well, it's a good question. How do I put this? I have been active in the Islamic sector here in Malaysia for how many years? 5 years at a university and 10 years at a research institute. The university was the Islamic Science University of Malaysia. I was there from 2002 until 2008. And from 2008 until 2017, I was a research fellow at the International Institute of Advanced Islamic Studies, and I was working with and for, you might say, the well-known Sharia scholar, Professor Dr. Mohammed Hashim Kamali, who was my boss and mentor, I might say, for nearly a decade, and I'm grateful for all the things I learned while I was there. However, a time came that I had to move on, and that was in 2017. And however, how do I put this? Even though I left the institute, some of the ideas that were in my brain at the time at the time that I left the institute, remained in my brain, so to speak. And they were certain ideas, or questions rather. You could refer to them as some unresolved issues or unanswered questions that I had no time to sort of look at, explore more deeply and more fully. So what happened after I left the institute, I began to dabble, you might say, a little bit in trying to find answers to these questions, and I basically summed up my results of this research, on in papers that I then posted on Academia and ResearchGate. So then one fine day, my wife approached me and said to me, well, why? Because she saw I was putting a lot of work into this, and she says to me, well, why are you bothering with all that work? What do you get out of it, so to speak? That is not an uncommon question. And in fact, it was even a question that the wife of one of the rulers in Socrates, Plato's imaginary republic, asked, of one of the rulers who was very concerned about honor. He was part of a regime called democracy, and there was a rule of people that are committed to honor. And so when she asked him or told him that, hey, come on, you all this talk about honor, but it doesn't bring the bacon home. I mean, she didn't put it like that, and I wouldn't put it like that either. Now, being a Muslim, we are supposed to stay away from bacon and some other things as well. But anyway, it kind of rang a bell, and I said to myself, yeah, good question. So what to do? And then what happened was, I'm not sure what, I think it was her idea. That I should post this research material basically on a commercial site, which is Amazon, as you know, and basically offer it for sale, so to speak, to get you might say, a reasonable quote-unquote commission for the work that I've put in. So basically I saw no issue with that, no problem with that. So I went on to KDP Publishing, which is the Kindle independent publishing, which is a facility offered by Amazon.com. There you can publish your books in basically ebook format or paperback, and now the most recent edition that they have is the hardcover. So up to now I have 118 titles there. Many of them in paperback format and also in ebook format, but some of them appear only in paperback and some others may appear only in ebook format. I'm working on basically having all the books available in both formats, both ebook and the paperback. The price for the, if I may mention, the ebooks is $9.99 US, but the price for the paperbacks ranges anywhere from a low of I think $12 US to maybe a maximum of, I think I saw one of my books there for as much as, was it $38? I'm not sure. It was one of the bigger books, I think my book on economics, which was quite bulky and actually a lot of work went into it. But I'm also considering, so to speak, not to say that I'm planning to have a fire sale, but I think as I have been revising some of my books, and this is a feature that Amazon allows you to do, that you can update your books or your work relatively easily once you have a second edition or a better quality draft. You basically go back to the basically the website and enter paste the document in the field where you are supposed to upload the document, and it will automatically replace the new document will automatically replace the earlier version of it. But anyway, to come back to the main topic, the purpose of this video, perhaps I should have mentioned it at the beginning, is basically to help market the books. This video is made uniquely for Amazon. And the reason I say that is, for those people who don't know, Amazon has an option whereby you can attach a video to help market your book, and I have tried to use that option once, although unsuccessfully. I think what happened was that the reason why Amazon did not accept the video was because actually I've used the video that I have previously posted on YouTube, you see. And I think what they would like to see, and I can understand the logic behind it, they would like to see videos, the videos that are posted on Amazon.com to help market the books should not appear anywhere else. On the internet. They should be uniquely designed for Amazon only. So this time I'm hoping to avoid that mistake, and like I said, this video will be unique for Amazon, although I might make a second video about the same topic, although of course it will be a different video, so it will not be the same clip, and I may post that one on my YouTube channel, where I also have some videos. By the way, my YouTube channel is under my legal name, which is Leslie Terebesi, and I think I have a few videos there. I think, is it up to 17? I need to check. But anyway, that's another way in which I am communicating with interested parties in this research. Basically Islamic studies or Islamic issues kind of research, because as a convert I have become interested in the issues relating, of course, to the Muslim Ummah, but also to the broader global community. And one among the questions that I've been asking myself is how can Islam help us to address our problems? One idea, one thought that comes to mind, as you know, the United States of America has a public debt of $31 trillion US, which is far in excess of its GDP, and one reason for this massive accumulation of debt is that it has legalized interest, or riba, which is prohibited in the Quran, and I believe it was also prohibited for the Jews in the Torah, and I think the Catholic Church maintained a ban on usury or interest for many years also. So according to the Book of Allah, the Quran, which we Muslims consider to be the Word of God, basically, really verbatim, I should say, is prohibits, riba or usury or interest. To me, those terms pretty much mean the same thing. I am aware that there are people who believe that interest, modern day interest, is not the same as the riba prohibited in the Quran. Well, I would recommend them to look into some of my articles. I have about, I think, 60 papers on Islamic economics and related topics on academia. One of them is specifically about riba, and of course, I have a whole book also, Islamic and conventional economics. What are the differences? So those people who wish to pursue this further can find perhaps some useful ideas there in those books. I might add that I spent 10 years in the classroom teaching the subject of economics at the matriculation or pre-university level. So I developed a fairly decent grip on the conventional, mainstream economic theory. And I still recall when I tried to write my first paper on Islamic finance, I was still trapped by that thinking until my former boss, Prof. Dr. Mohammed Hashim Kamali, basically informed me that the OIC Fiqh Academy declared that interest is riba and we cannot change that. So he, as it were, kind of pushed me over the fence, and I had to start with that premise, and that's what I did. And then I discovered, lo and behold, that actually that was the correct perspective. But like I said, I didn't come here to talk about that book. Perhaps another time I can do another video and go into some detail on that book. I'm aiming to have these videos at the maximum length of 15 minutes, and I can see that I've used up over 11 minutes. So in the remainder of the time, I would like to just make a few comments about this particular book, The Eclipse of Revelation by Tradition. It was one of the earliest books, text that I have written, and it was in response to this, how shall I put it, a nagging feeling after I left the institute, the research institute, that I haven't really gotten to the bottom of things. I sort of pictured myself a little bit like a detective, Sherlock Holmes, if you like. My wife playing my sidekick, which was Dr. Watson. She sometimes comes up with interesting ideas. But anyway, I was thinking, along with other people, like, some people have asked the question, what went wrong in Islam? And I was asking myself the same question. I could sense that something went not just wrong, but seriously wrong. But I could not put my finger on it. So I struggled with this question for 3 or 4 days, closer to that. And on about the third day or so, this idea just popped into my brain. I was in a neighboring country in Koh Samui in Thailand, in a Starbucks there, which was sort of my office. For a few hours every day, I would drop in with a laptop and get some work done there. But anyway, the idea popped into my brain. There was one word that popped into my brain finally on about the third or fourth, I think the third day, and that one word was the word eclipse. And then I realized that this was a key word. It unlocked the mystery I was trying to solve. I realized that what went wrong in Islamic intellectual and perhaps in a different way in political history was that something was eclipsed by something else. Something that was eclipsed or blocked, if you like, was the Quran, the light of the Quran, to be more precise. And the thing that did the blocking was the tradition. Now, I'm not saying that we should throw out all the tradition or traditions, by no means, but I think we need to start treating it differently from the way it was treated, from the way it is treated in traditional Islam. Because in Islam, in traditional Islam, tradition is treated as a source of law, and I have doubts whether this is compatible or can be reconciled with the statements in the Quran according to which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the only lawgiver, and that there is no judgment besides the judgment of God, Allah, in matters of religion. La hukmu illa lillah is a famous expression, but there are others who basically, send the same message. So my book was, when that insight came to me, I felt like a person who was formerly driving on a highway in fog or heavy snowstorm. We have quite a few of those in Canada, and you couldn't see a whole lot. But suddenly the fog just vanished, or the snowstorm stopped, and everything, the whole landscape became almost like totally clear. It was really an amazing experience. So all I had to do was to sit down and write it down, and actually that's what I did in that first book. So I hope that you will enjoy reading it if you do buy it. If not, you can at least read the abridged version, and there are some other papers, full-length papers, also on my sites, Academia and ResearchGate, that also touch on this issue, so you can find more information on this issue without having to pay anything extra. So thank you, that's all for now, and until next time, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.